The school board meeting will begin in 1 minute. Please take your seats. Again, the school board meeting will begin in 1 minute.
Good morning. The February 6th, 2023 meeting of the Marion County School Board is now called to order. For the courtesy of those listening to the meeting, I am requesting that anyone in the audience please turn off electronic devices and put them on vibrate. Later in the meeting, up to 30 minutes will be provided for individuals to address the board on matters concerning operation of the Marion County school system or the school board only. Presentations to the board are limited to 5 minutes and are televised. If you wish to address the board regarding a regular agenda item on matters of which the board customarily takes action, you must first complete a peach-colored form located in the lobby. If you wish to address the board regarding a public hearing or a student discipline matter, please complete a lime green colored form. These forms must be completed and received by the board clerk no later than 9:10 a.m. The procedures applicable for each are on a separate sheet. Board clerk, please call the roll.
Mrs. Allison Campbell, District 1.
Here.
Mrs. Lori Conrad, District 2.
Here.
Mr. Eric Cummings, District 3.
Here.
Mrs. Nancy Thrower, District 4.
Here.
Dr. Sarah James, District 5.
Here.
Dr. Diane Gullett, Superintendent.
Here.
Mr. Jeremy Powers, School Board Attorney.
Here.
Thank you. Board, if we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I now ask the school board attorney to tell us or to give us the information on how we will accept public comment.
Thank you, Chair. In compliance with Section 286.0114 of Florida statutes, the public will have a reasonable opportunity to be heard on school board and school district matters. Speakers who wish to speak at this morning's meeting will have 5 minutes in order to make their comments. Before you begin speaking, please state your full name. Each speaker, after 4 minutes, will have a 1-minute visual notice to complete his or her comments. Speakers and meeting attendees are expected to conduct themselves in a respectful manner. No verbal attacks or profanity are permitted. The board is here to listen to your comments only. You may be directed to an administrator or staff member following the conclusion of your comments for further assistance to address any concerns. To ensure student privacy, only a parent or guardian may use a student's first or last name. Identifying references to or identification of other students and or their families are also strictly prohibited. Thank you for your attention to the board's requirements. Chair, that concludes my explanatory remarks.
Thank you, Attorney Powers. Ms. Martinez-Lopez, do we have any speakers this morning?
No, Madam Chair, not at this time.
Thank you. Board, may I have a motion to approve the 2023-2024 instructional calendar?
Motion to approve the 2023-2024 instructional calendar.
Motion by Vice Chair Thrower.
Second.
Second by Reverend Cummings. Board, we do need to have discussion on this item because we need to know which of the two options we are approving. I'll open it up for comment.
I'll go ahead and say that I would prefer draft G. The reality is we have a lot of teachers that begin with us after the start of the school year, and they need time to get the opportunity for collaboration and professional development at their schools and have the opportunities to be with the principal and their fellow teachers for that work.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Any other discussion?
I'm not a fan of either. I think that we put together a committee, and the committee proposed early release days every week as a way to creatively try to meet the needs of all of our staff and get them the time they need on site. And we are left with calendars that do not have what the committee had put forth. And so I do believe that a weekly early release day early dismissal day would be the best for our district. And that's not what we have here. So I'm not a fan of either.
Thank you, Dr. James. Any additional discussion?
I'm for draft G. I do think it's a compromise between what our community asked for and what our district committee came up with, and so draft G is what I'll be voting for.
Thank you. Reverend Cummings, any comment?
All to vote.
Okay, so because we have a motion on the table to approve the 2023-2024 instructional calendar, Attorney Powers, should we amend that motion to say that it's specific to calendar option G?
That would be correct.
Okay, then do we need to vote on that motion that we've just, because we don't have, it's not concrete?
Someone other than the chair should make an amendment, and then it should be voted together with the amendment.
Okay, thank you. I'll entertain an amended
Chair,
motion.
I offer an amended motion that we approve draft G of the Marion County Public Schools instructional calendar 2023-2024.
Amended motion by Reverend Cummings,
Second?
second by Vice Chair Thrower. All in favor on instructional calendar draft G, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay.
Nay.
Motion passes 4-1. With that, we have an instructional calendar. Dr. Hembrook, Dr. Gullett, Mr. Ayers, thank you so much for your work on this. With that, I will say the following administrative briefing and work session has been scheduled for February 23rd, 2023 at 9 a.m. The purpose of the work session is to discuss update of Acceleration Academy, mid-year review of current year 2022-2023 budget, and Southwest localized rezoning update. The next administrative briefing and work session has been scheduled for March 9th, 2023 at 9 a.m. The purpose of that work session is to discuss the Code of Student Conduct revisions, 1 of 2, and alternative placement options. With that, board, I will open it up for your comments. Ms. Martinez-Lopez.
No, Madam Chair, no comments.
Attorney Powers.
I just wanted to inform the board that as to the attorney-client shade session, the two that I had referred to in our last report, I pushed those to the 9 o'clock slot as requested. And so we will convene there and then convene our meeting after that. I don't believe it's necessary for us to convene a meeting here, immediately adjourn for shade, go into shade, and then come back for the meeting. So if I find out otherwise, I'll let you know. But in the meantime, that has been moved to 9 o'clock as requested.
Okay, so it is possible that the administrative briefing and work session times that I just noted at 9 a.m. will be adjusted, perhaps?
Yes.
Okay, all right, terrific. Well, we'll work through that as it comes, and we'll have an update at our board meeting coming up next week. Dr. Gullett.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Just briefly, thank you for approving instructional calendar. We will put notification out today. And thank you all for being present and supporting our outstanding teachers on Saturday. It was quite a joyful evening, and we have just a really dynamic group of teachers that are committed to our students. So thank you for being there and supporting them.
Thank you, Dr. Gullett. Dr. James.
No real comment. Just want to say our public ed foundation is pretty tremendous, and my I have family I grew up in Orange County, and my mom was an educator in Orange County for her whole career, pretty much. And she was my guest on Saturday night, and she said, Orange County does nothing like this. This is a beautiful event. So shout out to our Public Ed Foundation for putting on a tremendous Golden Apple Gala. I think it was the best yet. The kids singing really was the icing on the cake there. So it was a beautiful evening.
Agreed, Dr. James, thank you. Reverend Cummings.
Listen, I echo Dr. James's comments about the gala on Saturday night. Your mom was sitting by me, and a couple of times I looked over at her, looked like she was tearing up because it was such a wonderful event. And again, shout out to our 2023 Golden Apple teacher, Ms. Bigelow, and truly a wonderful event. So no further comments.
Thank you. Ms. Conrad.
Yes, just really the same thing. The event was outstanding, and thanks to everyone who put forth such great effort to make it happen. You could see the teachers felt supported and appreciated, and so thank you to everyone that helped put that event into motion. Also want to thank our district for the work that they continually put forth on our calendar. It took us a long time to come to a consensus, but I hope it serves the district well.
Thank you, Ms. Conrad. Vice Chair Thrower.
Thank you. Yes, those just-in-time uplifting events, and that's exactly what the gala was for me. Personally, it was just so wonderful to see so many friends and colleagues that evening and be able to be together in fellowship, celebrating everything that they do for kids on the daily. So thanks again to the Public Education Foundation. You just represent our school district so well and have supported us so greatly, and we're just grateful. The next thing I have is I was just noticing in the comments or the directives about public comment, and I noticed that it says for citizens, before you begin speaking, please state your full name and address. I don't think address is required, and
It's not, and we had this discussion about a year and a half ago.
Right.
What I have done, based on consensus of the board at that time, is when I'm reading it, I typically remove the words and full address and just leave your name, unless I happen to read over it. If anyone ever wished not to give their address, they're not required to, but in order for us to contact them or reach back out to them, we would need it. Typically, we have the public speakers forms, but if they don't wish to make it public or announce it, they don't need to. And I can ask that just be cut from, if that's still the board's intention, I can just have it removed from the script as well.
Yeah, that's fine.
But it is still on the form, and it will remain on the form.
If they choose to give, if someone could come and speak and not wish to give their address, in which case, if they leave some sort of contact so that we can get back in touch with them, is certainly fine. Or they may simply wish to come and give their comments without indicating what their address is. Address, though, it is a matter of public record. Everyone thinks it is privacy, but you can find out anyone's address easily, and it's not protected unless they are a protected individual, like law enforcement or something like that.
And while I do understand that, to say it publicly at one of our meetings, thinking that it's required when it's not, I would prefer to leave that choice to the citizen.
Absolutely, and most small governmental bodies, and even larger ones, will request that people do it. But if someone makes if we make the request and someone doesn't give their address, that's perfectly fine. We can eliminate even the request so that they don't feel obligated to do so.
And it's been a past practice here for decades, that it was considered to be required. So it's going to take a little while for people to understand. It's just something that jumped out at me, and in this day and age, I realize you can get information everywhere, but if we don't have to ask for it publicly at our meeting, I would rather not, but I'm just one board member.
That's fine. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Vice Chair Thrower. Board, the only thing I have for us, we recently came up with a date that we potentially all wanted to go to Tallahassee based on other dates that were not going to necessarily work for all of us. And unfortunately, speaking actually at Golden Apple with Senator Perry and his staff. The week that we chose, or the day that we chose, is when they're going to be back here. So that's not going to work for us to go to Tallahassee on February 27th as originally discussed. I know that there was not another date that we all could go together. So I do think it would be impactful if we, at least a handful of us, were able to go. If possible, the date I'm looking at is actually next Monday, February 13th. I don't know if that works for you all, but they will be there. I know that committee meetings actually don't start until that afternoon, so I'm not certain if that would mean that they are not available, but go.
Cummings and Conrad are both out of town
Yeah,
that
I'll
day.
be in Nevada. So.
And I think you're out of town the whole week, is that correct?
No.
Okay, you're gone the whole week, okay. So, well, we have 2 week options, I guess you could say, and that's the week of the 13th or the week of the 20th. The 20th is President's Day. So, if we're wanting to look at later on in that week, or if we are wanting to look at the week of the 21st, then we can take a look at those options as well.
What about Friday the 17th?
Fridays are usually not great days to be there because they usually do hightail it back home. I mean, we can go and try to have morning meetings, but in previous experience, it usually hasn't worked well to try to be there on a Friday. Thus why the FSBA days usually don't have meetings on Fridays as much. So.
What about the 21st? We have our board briefings, but other than our board briefings.
Exactly. I would think the 21st.
21st works for me.
Dr. Gullett, will you have the opportunity to join us? I know we tossed that around.
Right. Is February 22nd, 21st, will you be available that day?
I can certainly make arrangements. I would say that that's the kickoff for Safe Schools Committee meeting that evening. I can certainly make arrangements, would like to be there for the beginning, but I can
What time do we typically leave?
make an alternate plan.
I don't know that this board,
Normally we would go early in the morning.
right,
Early in the morning, but like
Like-
8 or 9 o'clock in the morning and see everybody. We probably leave there about after lunch because we always had lunch. And
so I know last year whenever I did a day up where I was up and back on the same day, I think I left here at like 5:30 or 6 in the morning and then had my first appointment at 9 there. But I don't know if that works, I don't know that we can carpool. I don't know how that works. We have to figure that out. But that would be my proposal, that we would, try to get up and leave early and try to schedule some appointments that morning. And then maybe
And we would be, what time is the meeting?
leave by 1 o'clock or so.
It's at 3:30. Honestly, I think there's going to be a conflict any day anyway, so if it works for the board, I think, move forward with that.
But, and not to negate the superintendent, but it's a necessity. In the past, the superintendent hasn't had to be with us. And if she needs to do what she needs to do, I don't want to jam her up on being for that committee.
Absolutely, I just wanted to extend
Right.
Right.
the opportunity, but I get it, especially for a meeting that is the kickoff to something very important.
Yeah.
And I think Mr. Smallridge, is he going up separately or is he, okay.
He's planning to go up. I made arrangements so he could go up and spend some time on that plan. Yes.
All right, board, so if it works for you all, let's try February 21st then, and we will have the team contact all of the offices and see if we can get scheduled on that day and figure out what meeting times we're able to get based on the committee schedules of our local delegation. So,
I have a question.
yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Dr. Gullett, is Mr. Smallridge going up ahead of the 21st, or do you know that yet?
We do not yet, no. We're working with Jessica, and she's trying to make some appointments.
Okay.
So will we have Jessica make our appointments for those legislative?
We can have Jessica make them, or we
Because
can.
I think Jessica, if Elena contacts Jessica, that may put us in and out at a decent time where it's not.
Yeah, she's got her finger on the pulse up there.
Okay. That's fine. We can work with Jessica Janasiewicz from our lobbyist to get our appointment scheduled. And we'll just base when we need to leave on the first appointment time, because if we can't get an appointment until 10:30, then we might want to not leave at 5:30. So, and then we'll just see, we might have one actually at 1 or 2 o'clock that day, and so we'll just kind of see how that day goes. But, okay, February 20.
Hopefully it won't be windy that day, so we have to deal in the umbrellas.
Well, we know that you will protect us if we need it, Reverend Cummings. We know that you will. Okay, terrific. Thank you, board. So February 21st will be the day, and we will work with the team and Jessica to get us some appointments scheduled on that day with our legislative delegation. Terrific. There being no further business, may I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Move.
Motion by Reverend Cummings. Second by Dr. James. All in favor say aye. Aye. I hear no opposed. Motion passes 5-0. Meeting is adjourned at 9:19 a.m. Thank you.